Welcome back to the Boy Time channel. Today we are doing our second reaction recap, which we go over our thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the records we last reacted to, give updated thoughts if there are any, and just have a good old time.
Yeah.
So no reacting today, just discussion. But these are nice to do because often our first reactions and our opinions change as time goes on. But
Yes.
we're going to be touching on 10 or so today. There's been a lot, and we didn't realize that we hit 10 already. So,
Yeah. Well, some of that too is that we did those two new reactions,
yes.
which I don't. We'll be talking about one of them. I don't know if we're going to be talking about Montero very
Yeah,
much.
Montero just came out, like, time of recording this.
Mm.
So, we don't really need to touch on it, I don't think.
Also, our views haven't really changed about it. Kacey
Correct.
Musgraves, our views have changed about it.
Yes.
So I
But we'll
think that
talk
would be
about that.
good to talk about then.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I guess we can jump right in.
yes.
Going in order, 24K Magic Bruno Mars was the first reaction of this second tier, I guess.
Yes. I think it is going to be beneficial for us to note that your albums have been on a roll since
As of late, yes.
Black Midi.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only going to be two albums in this retrospective that you reacted to.
Correct. Well,
And this is one of them.
not true. There's a lot I haven't heard, but
Right.
most of them were my picks.
That's true. Yeah.
But this was your pick.
This was my pick. So what do you think? Have you gone back to it?
I've gone back to it a little bit.
Okay.
There's certain songs that I definitely go back to. Haven't like listened to the full album again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding myself being a playlist boy lately, so I'll just add songs to playlists instead of going through full albums because ain't nobody got time for that. And with my work schedule, I can't often sit down and just listen to a whole thing, and I don't like to be interrupted during albums.
Yeah.
But track list here is pretty tight. The only thing I wasn't crazy about was Versace on the Floor. I think everything else was pretty good.
If I remember right from the reaction, is that the first half you kind of were a little bit sick of the kind of generic Bruno Mars.
Mm-hmm.
That especially that first half is all like, the 24 karat magic, and
It's very Bruno Marsy. It follows the same formula.
yeah, which it does switch halfway through,
It does.
and we, of course, made note of that. But I frankly I haven't listened to it since the last reaction, but I still really enjoy this thing.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I'm excited for. I guess Silk Sonic would be the next thing they're doing.
Silk Sonic would
early
be
2022.
January.
Yes,
That's what they said.
as of now.
Yes.
January. But
Yeah.
yeah, still loving Straight Up and Down, Finesse, 24K Magic, Chunky. Still loving those.
Yeah, I would agree. I still kind of like Versace on the Floor. I don't know if there's a song on here that I dislike. I'm not the biggest fan of Perm, but that's probably my least favorite. Just because he does that weird voice thing, I think that's the song that he does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Pretty good.
Good. And I think the only reason I don't like Versace on the Floor as much is it just makes me want to listen to Michael Jackson. So
Yeah,
I just choose not to.
and it does that thing just sequencing wise, where I think Versace on the Floor is like the first
It's a
ballad,
drastic change.
and then there's another ballad like straight up and down, and it's a
And it's
way
better.
superior song.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's just like, okay, why would
I think that was my
listen
only
to
issue
this?
with it, really.
Yeah,
Um,
which is fair.
yes,
Yeah.
but a very good album. Next, we have MGMT. This was the first Bab Jab reaction where we have him on and we spin his own little wheel and react to his music.
Yeah.
So we're both kind of like the first reactors there more often than
For
we
the
are.
most part.
But I've been exposed to this album for quite a bit just through living with the person that recommended the album and having him play it a lot. So I've heard these songs quite a bit.
Yeah.
It has this very good quality where they don't get old. They're
No.
very refreshing. and groovy.
Yeah. Um, I'll say I also have a lot of exposure to these songs. We have like a group playlist that like whenever we're just doing something low key or whatever, we'll throw on a group playlist and everybody has songs that they've added. And of course, Bab Jam has added a lot of these songs to the playlist. So I think we even brought that up in the video that like
Yeah.
we were making jokes about like James like way before.
We maybe reacted to like half new material on that video, but it was a good
Yeah.
lead into that series because it's easy listening music and it's chill.
Right.
It was nice.
Yeah. I don't think we've gotten any like nothing too heady with Bab Jab stuff. We got that vegan record. And he's probably due for another
We're gonna
one.
do another one. I think we'll talk about what's coming next later, but
Okay.
we'll squeeze him in there.
But yeah, we got this one which was pretty easy listening. And then we got this vegan one that was largely an instrumental album.
Very easy listening. Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually I have gone back to, but just as background music. So we're not really going to talk about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't gone back to the whole thing. Obviously, I have been listening to some of my favorite songs. Me and Michael, probably my favorite.
Classic.
Actually, that's not true. When You Die is my favorite. But yeah, me and Michael and James. I actually like that She Works Out Too Much. That one was also pretty fun.
Quality.
Yeah,
There's a lot of quality on here. There's not a song I didn't like, that's for sure. I really enjoyed a lot of these, and then like songs like Slamp, Me and Michael, Hand It Over are just amazing, fantastic, like synth pop, weirdo music.
Yeah.
Hoping they come back together and release something soon.
Well, I
think
hope
they're due,
so.
because I think this was their last in 2018.
Yeah,
so.
this is their last album. I think they've dropped singles though. I think I checked their Spotify page. Looks like they've been
Yes. Yep.
dropping some stuff. So hopefully that's a lead into something, but I wouldn't know.
That'd be cool. I'm interested though.
Yeah, I would listen to it.
Yeah. Good pick from Bab Jab. Next is Kacey Musgraves. We did Golden Hour first.
Yes.
Then by some random chance, she decided to start an album rollout and release an album very soon after that video went live. So we did that one as well.
That was good timing.
I guess we'll start with Golden Hour.
Yeah.
This was a you pick.
Yes.
Is this the last you pick?
This is the last you pick. Well, me pick, I guess, not you. It's getting confusing. Still, even of stuff that we have not recorded, like the wheel keeps landing on you. So
it's been like 8 in a row. It's kind of nuts.
So hopefully that changes soon.
And it's even odds too. Like I don't have an advantage. It's literally just a wheel spin.
It's luck, 50-50, and it's
And we don't like do over the wheel spin if it's something we don't like, so we just take it. But
yeah.
We might have to do that if I keep getting picked, because I won't run out of stuff, but I want to listen to new stuff.
Right.
But Golden Hour.
Yes.
One that I liked on first listen. Went back to a little bit, saved some songs to a playlist, kind of chilled on it. Listened to Starcrossed. Really liked it first reaction. Feelings changed. I listened to Golden Hour, I think 2 times in the past week, and it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm liking it a lot more than I did first reaction.
Good.
And everything just seems a lot better than the first time I heard it. Songs like Slow Burn, Lonely Weekend, Oh What a World, Love is a Wild Thing, Golden Hour, Rainbow. Super highlights. These are fantastic country, pop, whatever tracks.
Yes.
And I think it took me that new record where I really enjoyed it first listen, like just off base value. And then re-listening to that, I realized that there's 0 replay value for me, and that this one grows actually from further listens. So I'm definitely enjoying Golden Hour a lot more than I initially thought I did.
Good.
I don't know if that's constant.
It was for me.
Mm-hmm.
I brought up in that video, this has been very high up on my like overall favorite albums list for a while now, a couple years. I talked about it on my 27 and a half albums video that we made like a year, well, I don't even know, like 6 months ago or something.
We recorded it like a year ago. It came out in November.
Okay. So it's been a minute.
Or maybe we
Uh,
recorded it in November and released it like, yeah, I think we recorded in November, released in the spring of this year.
that sounds right.
Yes. So,
So we talked about it there. If you want to
mhm.
like get a general taste of our music uh, preferences, I guess that would be the video to watch. But I talk about it there, and I talked about it in the video. There's a lot of songs on here that I like. I think there is probably only one song that I don't, and that is Velvet Elvis. Wonder
Correct.
Woman gets a very slight
I
pass for me.
really do not like that song,
I know.
um, lyrical wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't. I really like the verses on that song though, and I think that is something that even you said as we were listening to that song the first time. It's the one that starts out where it's like I like where this is headed, and you're like it was like you like it too. And I was like oh
And
wow
she,
no,
yeah, and then
yeah
she just killed it,
yeah she
like
did
in a
kill it.
bad way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Uh, I
that'll
know you
happen.
don't like that one. I just like the verses.
Yeah.
The chorus is kind of bad, but uh, I like this thing a lot. It's
Yes.
probably
I appreciate it a lot more than I did the first video. And I saw a lot of promise in it in that video.
mm,
Starcrossed came out. We did a first reaction to that.
sure did.
There's been a lot of discussion in the comment section for that video specifically,
Yeah.
which is good because I'm glad I'm not alone in this, and we're not alone in this. Of like feelings changing so drastically so quickly. That album definitely felt like it was very expansive and bright and new on
Yes.
first listen. I was in a thematic mode where I was trying to structure where she's going, what's her artistic vision with this. But after like that video and listening to it again, I immediately realized that like one poke at it and the whole thing falls apart.
Mm,
Um, Writing wise, production wise, there's even some mastering issues that I've found. Uh, there was a thing, I think we mentioned it during the reaction, where the verses are so quiet and then her chorus vocals just get bumped up for like no reason.
I don't know if I brought that up.
It was
Uh,
something like that where it was like it was a major shift.
yeah. I think what I was talking about was specifically the first, uh, well, the three tracks after Starcrossed, where it's that Good Wife,
Hmm.
Cherry Blossom, and Simple Times. They all follow that formula of having those like quieter verses and then that explosion into the chorus.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess I could see
I only
vocals being
noticed
loud.
because that's what I thought it was gonna be, but
Mm-hmm.
the more I listened, the more I noticed that they literally just cranked the levels up to make it louder.
Yeah.
Nothing got louder; they just cranked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was a lot of things that I was kind of disappointed in following the first listen. A lot of those songs that sounded similar to each other. I think like what was it? Cherry Blossom and Simple Times kind of sounded the same. Simple
Yeah.
Times is far superior.
Mm-hmm.
Angel and Camera Roll are kind of similar. I'm taking Angel over Camera Roll just because Camera Roll, the lyrics get a little bit too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm still really loving Hookup Scene. I think that's one of her best songs ever.
I think so too.
There's a Light I still like for some unknown reason. I'm
I
standing
don't
by
get
that.
it, but
I don't
that's
know why I like it. I just like it. I feel like her cheesy writing actually works with a super cheesy song.
Well, it might.
But Good Wife I like,
Mm-hmm.
and Starcrossed I like. So
Yeah.
there's definitely tracks that I still like, but as a whole album, I was kind of disappointed going back to it, and I realized how much better Golden Hour is and how strong of an album that is,
Mm-hmm.
and how much the strong suits of that album kind of stay.
Mm-hmm.
But we also watched the film
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
We watched the Paramount Plus exclusive Star-Crossed
Whoa.
film, and I didn't really know exactly what it was. I think when we were getting ready to start it, we had noticed that like the run time was like pretty much identical to the
48
album.
minutes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, is this just gonna be like a visual album or something? It's not really that.
It's a long
kind
music video with like her trying to put some weird theme in it or
Yeah.
like storyline.
But not all the
don't know if it
songs
really
on the
works.
albums are there,
Yeah.
and some of them are like cut short or they're just using the instrumentals. And yeah, I think the best part about the movie is we both agree is that she actually skips
She
Breadwinner
does.
on the car
Yes,
radio.
on the radio.
Yeah,
That is amazing. I would. Is Breadwinner decisive for me for us calling it bad? Because I definitely cannot stand that song. But I
Um,
don't know. It was really funny during the movie though, because I heard it come on. I'm like, oh no, and then she changed it to Justified. I'm like, yes,
yeah,
thank you.
it was like, so did she know? Like, why even
I
like
don't
put it
know.
in? Like,
I
why
was
not?
confused.
You just bring up like a random like song that is bad, or like do
Yeah,
like make a joke song that's like overly bad to
she
skip.
did that with Good Wife, but it sounds good because
Right.
everything's structured well. Because it's obviously a satirical song, and in the movie music video thing,
Mm.
um, she does visuals for it, which are cool. I think a lot of the visuals were cool, but nothing was really connected. It was a super cheesy story of falling apart and getting built back up again,
Yeah.
which, going off the lyrics of this album, I didn't expect anything deeper than that.
Yeah.
Um, but visual wise and like color wise and composition, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when they divide it into three acts, I'm expecting thematics and there wasn't any. She was just kind of apparently using that as something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was right on the cutoff times for the acts though, so I got that right.
Yeah.
It's
Pretty
just they don't
much.
make sense.
No. And I think like in the movie it like jumped around. Like if I remember
Yeah,
right, it was like songs were out of order and like they would take songs from like the end and then move it to like act 2 or like doing some weird stuff like
I
that.
think Good Wife played for a good 5 minutes, and then they brought it back like 20 minutes later
Right.
for
Yeah.
some reason.
One of the things I did like is that like the end and the beginning were kind of mirrored
Mhm.
with the star-crossed. It was like this weird like dressing room kind of thing, like this weird imagery. And then they brought it back at the very end for Gracias a la Vida. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, kind of cool, where it's like thematically, where it's like, she's in this relationship and this is like a stable kind of condition that she's in. And then the events of the movie transpire. She's now single, but still in that kind of stable position. I don't know if that is what was going on, but that's what I got out of it.
I would assume so. There's a very light thematic thread
Mm-hmm.
to the point where you can follow it, but it's not enough where like there's any details that are interesting or anything. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
like she was definitely attempting something, and I think if she keeps working on this, then she can really make a true great concept album.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Golden Hour is just a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
Loving that thing a lot more.
And I mean, like, I don't even think that like the concept album in and of itself is bad, but it's like the subject isn't necessarily interesting or something that is unique. This
She
is
doesn't
like
touch on specifics too much.
right. It's just like the feeling of loss, which is like
Right.
fine if you want to talk about it, but like a lot of
But
people
don't
go
structure it
through
in three acts and boldly tell people because I'm gonna expect that.
yeah. Yeah. It isn't like a great concept album. Like
Hmm.
people make breakup albums all the time.
Hmm.
She didn't really do anything with it. Um, but yeah, I'm glad we actually got to talk about it here because,
Yes. Comment section's kind of crazy over there. So
yeah,
there's a lot of thoughts going on, which you should read because there's a lot of good thoughts going on.
there is.
Insights, good discussions without like normal YouTube comment sections where they just get out of control. So
Yeah, I
good job.
appreciated that
Yes.
comment that broke down the Gracias a la
Ooh,
Vida
yes.
history. That
Yep.
was really cool.
We can put that on screen too if we want to, or just go to the video and look at that one. I like that one.
It's pretty
Uh,
long. I don't know if I'll be able to fit it, but
yeah, it gave good context though, so
yes,
that was a good bit of
appreciated it.
information. But after spending 20 minutes on Kacey, we have Black Midi, Schlagenheim.
Schlagenheim.
This was me. I think everything throughout is either a viewer reaction or me.
Yes.
So, but neither of us have heard this one going into it.
No.
So
You were
there's
familiar
quite a
with
few
Black Midi.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to Cavalcade. It's behind me if you can see through the freaking glare. So going into this one, I had no idea what we were getting into. You had even less idea of what we were getting into.
Yes.
And I still didn't know what we got into after we were done listening to it. So
Yeah, this one was a little bit weird. I went in with the expectation of it being really bad because that was on our like super yikes part of the
yeah,
wheel where it was like
like
you're gonna
the
hate
least
this.
the least likely to get picked. It has a very low probability.
Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh man, this is not gonna be good. You had given like hints of like it's just gonna be loud noise art rock, and I'm like, that
Gonna be
sounds
jumbled.
horrible.
Yeah.
And what I got was not bad.
Hmm.
I think like up until Western, I actually enjoyed it a lot, and then it kind of fell off for me. It kind of
Got
just
more
like,
noisy in the second half.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that it was bad. It just wasn't what I was. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Hmm.
If that makes any sense. Western
You
is
were
still
able to
banger.
see, like, yeah, Western's amazing.
Yeah,
Do more of that, please.
yeah. I'd listen to
Or
that.
just- yeah. I think it was like getting the yikes, like, kind of mindset, and then going into something like this where even I was thrown off guard, even after hearing a full album of theirs, that this is like completely different and they didn't stay consistent throughout and played with a whole bunch of new things.
Mm-hmm.
Still really liked it. I think I would still tie it with Cavalcade. I think Cavalcade's a little bit more neat and packaged. Everything feels like it belongs together.
Yeah.
But the moments on this thing that were like kind of gentle and smooth were like really impressive. And then of course towards the end it got a lot more loud than what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So two different demographics there. But Western's amazing. I love the title track. Detroit, Michigan was really cool. Reggae was cool, even though it wasn't a reggae song. A lot of great ideas, and Black Midi is one of my favorite like upcoming rock groups out of this new post-punk scene in England, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't gone back to it a whole lot. I did listen to Western today because I was like trying to refresh on some of these before we recorded this, and I was like, "Yep, this still holds up. This is
It's
great."
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an eye-opener album, and one that wasn't too abrasive to get him into more artsy rock sounds or more chaotic landscapes.
No, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
That being said, Wilco's next.
Ooh, Wilco is next. This was our first viewer reaction.
This was the first viewer one?
It was.
Oh, frick.
We have a viewer wheel. All of your submissions we put into a wheel, spin that. They all have the same probability. This one got picked first. We will put a list of everything that we have in our viewer wheel at the end of this video. And we do have one coming next that we'll talk about. But
Yes.
Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot was our first one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the names of people who recommended them. We'd have to
I
find
think
the
it's
comments.
Ploist. I think that's his name.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out in editing.
Okay. I'll put the comment up again.
Yeah. Just keep putting comments up.
Okay.
But I really love this thing. First reaction. Didn't know what I was getting into. I kind of knew somewhat of a sound and an idea. I knew of Jeff Tweedy, but not his work. Didn't expect something this experimental from like this record. I know it was kind of a divisive record depending on music circles you go on in the internet. But first track immediately I was just blown out of the water. I still love that song. Still in my regular kind of weekly rotation playlist. So definitely get that one a lot. Radio Cure, Ashes of American Flags, Poor Places. Those are like the probably four that I keep in rotation. Never get old.
Mm-hmm.
Other ones fell back to the back burner a little bit, but I still revisit the album sometimes. You just have to be in a certain mood to listen to post 9/11 experimental alt country
Yeah.
that isn't happy. But I know you had a interesting reaction to it.
I did have an interesting
Yeah.
reaction, if you want to call it that. I still think about this album sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is my least favorite thing that we've ever reacted to. Because Gex, I at least had some things I could hold to where I was like, okay, this is kind of a jam. I don't think I enjoyed any song on here.
It does everything you don't like.
Yes. I don't really care for artsy things, period.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about, I just watched Eraserhead and I did not enjoy that. So apparently this whole artsy thing just get it out of here. And Wilco isn't necessarily like the most artsy thing. Like it isn't like
Very experimental.
Radiohead where it's like, you know, it's almost like math rock with like Radiohead stuff where it's like their stuff is like down to like these percentages and
Hmm.
some of that stuff. I didn't get that from this, but
And you also don't attach feeling as much
no,
initially either.
not generally because I don't
Mhm.
have a soul.
I
So
don't
like,
have feelings personally,
yeah,
so it's hard. Yeah.
so I'm usually just like kind of a hone in on something like
Hmm.
whether it's vocals or drums or if there's like a cool instrument I'll like hook onto that. I have a hard time focusing on a whole lot of different things at once, and so I like tried that, and I like every single track went by and I was like, okay, I'm gonna really hone in on the vocals. The guy's vocals weren't very good, and I was like, drums. It was like fine, passable, nothing really to like really like hold on to, like Fishing for Fishies or something. Where I was like, whoa, these are amazing. And just as it went, I was just like, oh, this is. I don't like this.
Yeah. From that perspective, it probably sucks.
Yeah.
I loved the emotional vocals. Loved how he wasn't afraid to go out of his vocal range and fail because it adds to the songs. Straining the voice on songs where pianos went off key at certain sections to kind of sour moods. Thematically, I just get a whole aura around the thing of the time period, of the emotional baggage of America and the States. Um, yeah, just really fantastic. But I can understand definitely why if you just throw this on, someone could be like, "What am I listening to?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got very two different ways of approaching things in general, taste aside.
Yes.
Um, but that's why we get things like King Gizzard and Black Midi, where it's just like, here's some cool sounds. Do we like them? Do we not like them?
Sometimes
Sometimes.
that's the whole crux
Um,
of the show.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally the name of it.
Yeah.
Untitled Unmastered. That was our next
Oh
one.
yes.
This was our first hip hop reaction of this series.
Yes.
Took a while.
Yeah.
But this is mine once again. We both have a lot of experience with Kendrick. I haven't listened to this one in a while before this reaction, and this was one you haven't heard.
Yes, I'd been holding off because I think you put it on the list, like from the get go.
Pretty
This
early,
has
I
been
think.
on
Yeah.
here for a while, and I had been really into all of Kendrick's, well, not all, but the three Kendrick Lamar projects, not Section 80 or anything before then. But I have been like, I'm still really into them. I listen to them very regularly. So I was like, ooh, a new project. So I listened to it. I did enjoy it. I haven't gone back just because I am still super into the other three. So like once I get sick of those, I think I'll probably go back and kind of clean up with this one, unless Kendrick drops something this year, which is maybe
She
gonna
will,
happen. Yeah,
probably. Most
probably.
likely.
So, but it's good. It's just
Mhm.
not as like
I
consistent
think,
as
or at least from my Kendrick phase, where you first get into it, an album will take you and just not let you go until you listen to it a million times. Then you go on to the next one, and then you go on to the next one, and then Untitled Unmastered was like my last stop as well, because I already had Section 80 under my belt, and then got into this one. It didn't last as long because it is not a thematic record, but I don't know. Kendrick music is weird, where it'll literally just take you in, and you just can't stop for an undesignated period of time.
yeah. I mean, it's been about a year. I started
Hmm.
with our Rolling Stone top 50 albums of all time. That was the first time I'd listened to Pimp a Butterfly, and I've been listening to it since then. I'm still listening to it today. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
That stuff sticks with you. I started college with Kendrick and ended college with Kendrick. That was like 3 years.
Yeah, and
So
he's
these albums have
never
staying
dropped
power.
over that
Exactly.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic artist. Hopefully new stuff soon. But
Please.
that was our first hip hop one.
Yeah.
After that, we had Sufjan Stevens, Illinois. Our longest reaction.
Is it
for
really?
Sure. So,
I don't. How long's the video?
the video I got down to like 45 minutes, but
Yeah.
the recording session was like almost 2 hours because the album was very long.
Right. I was surprised you were able to fit it into one. I remember we were talking like behind
Near the
the
end,
scenes.
we got worn out. There wasn't as much discussion happening.
It's very long.
This thing is dense, and there's so much brilliance in it where I think we just got sick of talking about it near the end because the hits kept on coming, but I
Yes.
just was out of brain power because there was too much.
Yeah. Originally, I think we were talking about making it a two-parter.
Yeah,
if you
I
weren't
was talking
able
about it.
to narrow it down or slim it
I
down.
think
a
it would
little
have been if we did have the mental fortitude to talk about the last fourth of it more.
Mhm.
But this is one that none of us have heard, but we both had experience with Sufjan.
Limited in my case.
You
I
have
think.
limited. I have like half discography probably.
Yeah.
All newer stuff though, like 2010 plus. So,
Mhm.
but I think Illinois has always been on my radar. So it's definitely the one I chose to put on here. Not disappointed at all. I think immediately we were both sucked in
Yeah.
because, I mean, Sufjan has stuff that we both love, just incredible vocals, acoustic guitar stuff, which we both really enjoy.
Yes.
But he gets me in the emotional side every time. He just keeps stomping me into the ground emotionally, which is great, I guess. But I mean, every single song on here, besides like the little skits, like we had a lot to say about and a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah. I this is another one I haven't gone back to. I kind of feel bad because the first one I feel like I went back to a lot of them, like Blonde and Ventura and like all of those. I mean I still listen to them, but not as much as I did back then. I haven't listened to any of these again, and I think part of it with Illinois is the song titles. I don't remember what songs I liked and which ones I didn't because they're like 2 sentences each. So I think I do need to come back to this one. I remember really liking it. I don't remember if I would have liked it more than Carrie and Lowell, but Carrie and Lowell so good. So
Carrie and
that's,
Lowell's like a modern masterpiece. So
yeah. So I don't know if
and with this one as long as it is, it's kind of hard. But it's two completely different moods too. But
yeah.
I think I added like 80% of this album to my playlist and kind of felt out which ones I like. But John Wayne Gacy Jr., Jacksonville is so incredible. There's a live performance of Jacksonville in like Austin, Texas, I think, and it's definitely like top Sufjan songs. Jacksonville live is something.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, Kazimir Pulaski Day. I think the other one that was really getting me. Oh, there's Sears Tower, and then there was Predatory Wasp. So those ones were like the highlights. But I remember both of us just not being able to get over Jacksonville for like the whole reaction.
No, I don't remember. I need to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember really, really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it credit, obviously.
Yeah. This is where playlisting works. I've been just adding full albums to a playlist. And if I skip the song without thinking about it, then, it's whatever ones I land on and stick with. But
okay.
yeah,
I need
definitely
to do
a
that.
lot from this.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool way to feel it out naturally instead of having to shove all these albums before we do this video.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll do that for next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
On Reaction Recap. Second viewer request.
Yes.
Puberty 2.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. This was one we were both pretty blind on. I've known of Mitski for a while.
Yes.
Haven't ever gotten into her. Wasn't expecting sound-wise, and I think we were definitely both blindsided by the way it sounded. I was expecting a lot of acoustics, and I didn't get that. Not a bad thing, though. I wasn't expecting it to be more of a rock type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of this one, did the same thing with the playlist. Ended up getting Fireworks, Your Best American Girl, I Bet on Losing Dogs, Crack Baby, and Thursday Girl kind of being those highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I love the varied production. She can be very energetic, very low-key. kind of emotionally draining as well.
Yes.
With some of the slower songs, getting into lyrical things that I didn't pick up on first reactions.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people are very passionate about Mitski, judging on the comment to view ratio on that video. Pretty
Okay.
nuts. So
Mm-hmm.
I know we've been kind of nudged towards Be the Cowboy. I don't know if we'll do a reaction to it, but I think I will check it out in my own time, just because we have so much stuff on our plate right now in terms of viewer requests.
Yeah. I mean, if you like it, you can check it out, and then you can add it to our list if you think that I would like it, or if I would hate it. You could just, it gives you something
Exactly.
to add.
Yeah.
But this one I did listen to again simply because I edited that video, so that helps. And I remember I bet on Losing Dogs. I think My Body's Made of Crushed Little Stars was that one was an interesting one, like different sounding. I think if I remember right.
I think a lot of people called that one out in the comments as well.
Yeah, but I think the Losing Dogs one was. Oh wait, no, Crack Baby. I made a whole meme about it in the video. How did I forget that? Crack Baby, it was better. Frick. Yeah, that one was good.
I do remember like 4 through 6, like we were into it, and then 4 through 6 was like great.
Yeah, and I think this is like I'm not huge in rock or really like the Phoebe Bridgers style. I'm not really big on. Well, Punisher.
Punisher, yes.
Not too big
It's
on.
too quiet.
Yeah. So I think this kind of falls into that for me. Not that it's quiet, but just like
No, but it's the very same audience and demographic and stuff.
So I mean, like, the only other thing that I had to kind of compare this to was that Lucy Dacus record, which I love, and that was not at all what I got, which is fine, but that
I need to stop
my bad.
like comparing Lucy to everything else, because Lucy's just kicked everything out of everything.
Yeah.
This year, but yeah, I think I've got my Phoebe Bridgers and Mitski's, and then you go kick to a little bit right, and you get Taylor Swift and Kacey Musgraves, and that's him. So it's the same genre. It's just very slightly to the side.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool. Yeah. There's a little bit of overlap. We're like, you know, you like and some
Lucy's
of that stuff.
Perfect mid-ground, and Lucy's
I think so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We do have another one of hers on the wheel, so I'm excited to get to that for viewer reactions eventually.
I'm hoping for that one.
Yeah. What was after Puberty 2? Black Parade, My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was mine again.
Yes.
I think they all are at this point.
Yeah.
But this was childhood one for me. Haven't listened to it in maybe 5 years before the reaction. Still blown away by how good it is.
Yeah.
Classic.
It is very good. I think my image of that one is slightly tainted because this is a behind the scenes moment. I was having a whole lot of video issues. We haven't even like published this one, so I don't even know what the editing has been like for this.
I just started it, so.
Okay. Did it work?
Everything's 2 weeks ahead. I'm not doing green screen or anything, so
okay,
we're just
that's fine.
Doing it. Yeah.
But we had some technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
The lighting. My lighting was for some reason I'm back at school in my dorm room. The lights are motion censored. So when I had this big screen, it couldn't tell that I was still in the room. So like every 15 to 20 minutes, my overhead lights would shut off and I would have to crawl under the screen and stand up and wave around for my lights to turn back on. That did slightly taint the record for me. Very good though. Like better than I was expecting. For some reason, like I've heard like so much praise about this, and my younger sister is super into alt pop and rock punk. Not so much emo, but a little bit.
This is like the emo opus, but yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't usually lean that way. But this isn't really that.
It kind of transcends everything.
Yeah. I think what shocked me the most was the Queen influence. And I know we talked about that a lot in the reaction. It was just like, I was not expecting that at all coming from My Chemical Romance. But Welcome to the Black Parade is probably one of the best songs ever.
Ever made. Hands down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and to do Queen influence this well is incredible. And they made it their own, very much so.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, I know when I told my parents we were doing this, were like kind of baffled that you've never heard this. It's kind of like this modern day classic, which in my circle everybody's kind of knows and has known for like years on end.
Yeah.
So it's one of those records that has that cult status, like a Thriller or something would in my family circle.
Yeah.
But revisiting it, like it still holds up as well as it did all those years. And there's a lot of just flawless things about it. The energy, the songwriting, the pacing, just really fantastic record. And one that you needed to hear because it is just like essential. Like this is a highlight of the 21st century.
Yeah. And that's like something too. Like I don't know a lot of music, period. I grew up in a very restrictive Christian household. So as I've kind of gone out and, started being a little more independent, now I can kind of get into all of these old classics that my parents would have been, no, that is too edgy and scary. You can't be an emo, whatever.
Kidding me?
Yeah. Jesus wouldn't want that, frankly.
At the same time, you have me going to school on Halloween day, like dressed like a rock star with like the eyeliner and crap.
I was Shrek, so.
I was Shrek too, actually. I had the donkey ears and the teeth, like killing it.
Okay, so we were both cool guys.
Yeah, we were both cool guys. But yeah.
Yeah,
Black
very
Parade.
good. I think
Amazing.
this is probably like, this is like same kind of status for me as Nevermind, because Nevermind is another one of those where it's like I'm not huge on rock. Nevermind's fantastic.
It just transcends all musical genres. It's amazing.
So I think that is the same
I think that's
for MCR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next we had Charlie XCX, our introduction to her. I need to pull up the album because I always forget.
Is it Pop 2, the one that we did?
No, we did How I'm Feeling Now, her latest.
Oh, okay.
Her 2021. I didn't know which one to pick for our introduction, but knowing he's not huge on hyperpop, I didn't want to do the self-titled. Just looking at features, we had Dorian Electra and all those wonderful people on it. I didn't want to dive into that because that is like, I've heard that is like one of the best records of the decade. I need to go back to that and listen to it. But knowing our demographic here, I'm like, okay, let's do this one. Now it seems a little more stripped back an intro. I needed a little bit of a character study on her anyways. But what we got was, again, very transformative pop music, hyper pop influence, and some really great like dance tracks. I think one track blew us away with her molding her vocals into a beat, transforming it into a different song. There was a lot of really cool stuff going on here. Just went back to some of these today, and they hit pretty hard. Just like whether you're paying attention or not, like you're just grooving to them.
Yeah. I think personally, I think this is like Gex but better. That might be a little bit of a hot take.
It's more clean and less like off the wall and meme-ish.
Yeah,
I guess.
it has a little bit of a like it's a little bit more mature, but still has that kind of like hyperpop staple. I think we even like talked about in the reaction where like one of the songs sounds exactly like a Gex song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like not hating it, not like super loving it, but just being overall pretty impressed with it. And it's decent.
I don't know if we'll do more Charlie reactions. I'm gonna deep dive into her, but this year has been so incredibly crazy for music. I'm gonna have to wait for a dull spot to do that.
Which might not come until next year.
Yeah. So, who knows? They're good things to keep on the back burner, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Black Star was next. Most Def and Talib Kweli. This is another one that neither of us have heard. I've had it on my radar for years at this point.
Uh-huh.
Thought, we'll throw it on there. We both like 90s hip hop. We both like New York hip hop. And I've been a big fan of Most Def for a few years. But yeah, this thing blew me away. And like seriously, instrumentally, lyrically, like masterclass. Probably my favorite album we've reacted to through this series. Yeah, just very, very good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely up there. It might be my favorite one that we've done that I hadn't already listened to in this retrospective. This one instantly became a part of my, walking around kind of music. I usually listen to hip hop while I go on walks and stuff. This is a fantastic record. I have not gone into lyrics at all, even though
You'd have to sit down and pull up Genius for that.
yeah.
And then still would probably be a little bit too much.
But yeah, this thing is fantastic. I think probably the best songs for me, Respiration, KOS, Definition, and Redefinition. And I do enjoy B-Boys Will Be Boys. So.
Yeah. I also enjoy KOS and Respiration, Thieves in the Night, Redefinition probably would be my top ones. But in that reaction, I was lyrically spent by the end. My brain was dead. But I haven't dug into deep lyrics, genius dives. I just kind of like to let lyrics hit me passively. Keeps replay value there. But this has been our most recent recording besides our new reactions.
Yes.
So this one's still pretty fresh. But as I continue to listen, I'm sure I'll find more and more stuff.
Yeah.
But definitely my favorite thing we've reacted to. But that is all that I have for the list of what we've done. I think that is pretty true. I don't know.
We didn't talk about vegan, and
We didn't, but there's not much to say about it. It was cool. I enjoyed it. I can't really dig into instrumental music though. I'm just gonna listen to it. So
yeah, and I feel like having it be an instrumental album was almost to its detriment, because I remember thinking a lot while we were reacting to it, and as I've had it on in the background, that's like, ooh, like someone can get on here and like really work with these beats, and like nobody does, and it kind of feels like a missed opportunity.
but that's what an instrumental album is. So
Yeah, but
it was kind of a different thing.
mm,
I don't listen to too many instrumental albums. I'm deep into like Flying Lotus and that kind of stuff. But other than that, I don't really dig into stuff like that too much. But definitely cool to hear. And an interesting pick from Bab Jab. He's bringing some different life to the series.
that's true.
But coming up next, we have a lot of good stuff still.
Yes.
Our viewer reaction wheel has reached like 12 or 13 submissions.
Yeah.
We do have Black Country New Road coming next. I know people have been asking us repetitively to do that. I know I want to do it as much as you guys want me to. We'll be doing that one very soon, so expect that video next. But I'm very excited for that. We have Yeezus coming for the main reaction series.
Yes.
He just keeps getting screwed over there, so I'm gonna like have a very bad karma eventually. I'm gonna get like James Taylor and everything back to back.
But might.
Yeezus should be a fun one. Pretty divisive, probably, which will be cool.
And then we'll get Bab Jab on.
We will get Bab Jab
soon.
Yes.
But that's all we've
Bab
got.
Jab has some interesting picks. That is all we have.
I'll probably put up here's what we've got on the wheel. Here's our music things. Our wheel website is kind of stupid where it doesn't let us put the whole albums or album names.
Yes, I just feel like the Google Doc list on there. It's easier for people to read.
Yeah, so here you go. Look at it.
There you go. Look at it in all its glory.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let us know what to do. We have a lot of viewer requests, so if you submit something, it'll probably be a while before we get to it. Just letting you know.
Yes.
But feel free to. If you're interested in different video ideas, want us to do something different. If you want, an extensive music background of both of us, we could do something like that. What our top picks are currently, or something like that.
We could do that.
But other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah, me too.